Welcome back, everybody, to the second iteration of the Pinnacle Cup. Now, with the second series of the day this Monday, as we've had an exciting set of first maps being played with Sinners versus Fiend. But now we've got a different endeavor at our hands. ENCE versus Lyngby Vikings, both holding on that first victory in the Swiss stage and now looking to grab themselves the second. My name is Xwari, of course, joined by the lovely Wildady by my side for yet another time. And I will prompt you, Wildady. I'll ask you this again like I always do. What is your initial feeling about this whole endeavor?
This is, of course, a matchup that I've really wanted to get into because Lyngby Vikings, it's not like... Of course, people do think that this is a bit of an underdog matchup, but that's not really the case, is it, Pavlos?
No, it really isn't, right? Lyngby Vikings, they've been on a rise. They've had a really good result on the first one, actually really surprising everybody by beating Double Pony in a 2-0 fashion the other day as well. So they look to be in a really good spot, and especially heading into the Pinnacle Cup, they look really well reformed. But let's have a look at the standings currently in the Swiss stage, see where these guys are at in contrast with the other ones. We've got Sinners now dedicated with the first victory in on the board. The first team to actually get themselves a 2-win start will be leading up the leaderboard. A surprising result really for Fiend. Weren't quite challenging on a map they're really considered the favorites on Mirage, which means that they do drop to the center of the standings. Of course, we had some other games being played through, and the middle of the pack has played too. But as we've previously mentioned, this matchup is ENCE and Lyngby Vikings, both with one win at hand, will look to see if they can solidify the spot at the top of the leaderboard. But before we jump into the nitty-gritty stuff, let's also look at the lineups, Wildady, because I'm sure that I guess these lineups have caught a lot of people's eyes, although no real big changes apart from Hades onto ENCE recently is sort of something that we need to take a look at.
Yeah, there isn't really that much of a difference in the lineups. Yes, I agree with that. And but honestly, overall, there has been a big difference in form. If you look at ENCE, I don't think that they are the powerhouse that they once were. I mean, they've recently suffered a very bad loss against Endpoint. And on the other hand, if we go ahead and look at Lyngby Vikings, they've really been on that uptrend. You know, they ended up winning out against Double Pony, as you mentioned previously, and Sharks, a team that is really starting to claw some eyeballs out. They were still able to neutralize them in a 2-0 fashion. So overall, I'm really liking the feel of this matchup. So to have a team that is on a bit of a downturn, I wouldn't really particularly say that ENCE are having bad form or anything, but I do think that Lyngby Vikings, on the other hand, they're feeling a lot more comfortable. Now, they're starting to settle into their lineup. They're starting to look like they're true contenders for top 30, and I believe they were at one point, but right now their rank is at 40. I do think they definitely have the makings of a team that can make it to that 15 to 25 mark, and if they can grab a win against ENCE, then that would definitely solidify that idea. It would cement the concept that, okay, this team has all the makings of somebody that can move on over to the top of the Tier 2 scene.
Oh, absolutely. And I think they've showed that entirely throughout the Pinnacle Cup so far, right? They made their way on from the play-in stage to the main Swiss stage, where from the play-ins, they had a really stellar start. They had a 16-4 scoreline against Navi Junior and a 2-0 scoreline against their Portuguese Shark squad. And of course, as we previously mentioned at the start of this analysis, is the fact that they beat Double Pony in a 2-0 fashion. Something that none of us expected. I believe we were the ones to cast that game as well. So we saw firsthand how strong this team looked, and we don't say it lightheartedly when we think that this team really has a chance to be the top of the Tier 2 scene, at least. Maybe not quite in a position to breach the top of Tier 1 mark, as many teams are struggling to do that currently, and I believe ENCE is one that you consider is within those lines, under the top 30 mark, I'd consider. So, yeah, no, Lyngby Vikings definitely have a potential to do that, and if they manage to continue with their sort of current form, if they're able to get themselves a second victory today, I guess everybody will start to believe, okay, maybe that wasn't a one-time performance by the Vikings. Maybe they've got more in them than we've anticipated, and they will look like strong contenders for the Pinnacle title.
Absolutely. This is also for a chance for them to get some practice in, get used to the idea that, okay, we have to go against the top dogs. We got to make sure that this lineup is all that we need to get across teams like ENCE. So if they can get a victory against a team like ENCE, then they can also start to solidify the idea to themselves that, all right, that we have a fair shot at even potentially winning out Pinnacle Cup II. And honestly, I don't think that they aren't contenders for it. Yes, there are teams that in the cup that are on paper, seemingly on paper, a lot better, but it doesn't really seem like that when you see them on the server, right? The eye test is a lot more different than the statistics. The players don't really feel like they're on that world rank 40. Oftentimes, they're able to win out their aim duels against the top dogs. They're able to really make these micro plays that are more expected of a team from a much bigger caliber. But we do also have to consider the flip side of things. They won against Double Pony, but that could have also been a flash in the pan. So while we're also giving them a lot of credit for this, CS is often this very momentum-based, mental-based game that can go your way if you're just hitting all of your shots on that day. And that was the case. We did cast that game. We did see that many instances the individuals would just come out on top in that regard. So maybe that was a flash in the pan, maybe it wasn't, but we're going to head right into the veto because that is what should significantly change the outcome of the game.
Yeah, and I think that 2-0 against Double Pony from Lyngby Vikings, I know we're highlighting it time and time again, but I think that also came down to the veto because they had a really fortunate affair when it came to the maps that they had to play at hand. And I guess they'll really look forward to the prospect of having that situation come underway for them again. Now, Overpass being the first pick coming through from the Danish side, ENCE will also pick up Nuke as the second one, with the Ancient Band coming through out from Lyngby Vikings will follow through with a Mirage to be the deciding map of the three. Three very different maps when it comes to it. And I'm interested to see your hot take when it comes to who this pool will favor the most.
Yeah, so it's not very common that we see Overpass being that first pick, but Lyngby Vikings, they do look very comfortable on that matchup. I do think that they have the makings of somebody that can be very successful in Overpass, and they've proved it to us. I mean, they went 19-15 against the likes of Havu, which of course is a very solid team on its own, and they beat Hyenas out in a 16-1 fashion. So not very often you see that on something like Overpass, but they have done it. Nuke, on the other hand, that's a bit of a tricky affair as far as Lyngby Vikings is concerned. ENCE, they've picked it, they're well seasoned on it, and that's something they're incredibly comfortable with it. They've had a very close game against the main lineup of NIP. They've been now TeamOne, Hyenas, K23, Havu, Sangol, and the list just goes on and on because this is something that they have no trouble navigating around. So I think Nuke will definitely be a bit of a tricky affair as Lyngby Vikings is concerned. But once again, we are going to see Mirage in this lineup. Being the decider, this is honestly a toss-up. Both teams, they do feel comfortable on it. Yes, ENCE have a bit more practice against higher tier teams, which is why I would still favor them a little bit more if it does come down to Mirage. But honestly, with the recent results that Lyngby Vikings have had, I don't know which way this could go. This game could honestly be a toss-up, as regardless of how much it looks like an underdog game on the surface.
Oh, absolutely, and especially seeing how ENCE has performed in their previous matchup 2-0 against Saw. Very convincing stuff coming in from them. But we're heading right into game to see also exactly what Pinnacle does think about this whole endeavor. Heading right into it, of course, ladies and gentlemen. It is Overpass to start things off. As we mentioned, Pinnacle, let's see what they look. And the odds are in their favor, as probably expected across the board. Lyngby Vikings, though, we both share this testament that this will be a close affair when it comes to it, but it's instantly the B-side take to come through from the Lyngby Vikings. Ralls, he's going to be first to lead the charge, looking to find the first shot, but he's going to take his time, wait for the flash to peek on through. Spots out one player, but he falls back to save it. The site has been taken over, and I think ENCE are very happy with going for the 5-man retake.
Oh, Lyngby Vikings, they have too much space here because they've already nestled themselves close to Graffiti. Rawls, he's been picked up. Ooh. Dodo is out of commission. Spinks, he almost had the lineup there because he was peeking over the smoke, but that's so many shots being missed, and that is the opportunity being dropped. 4-on-2, the terrorists. Now they've got good control over the CTs, but Spinks manages to scrape ahead all the way around the smoke.
Spinks needs to make his way now over the sandbag side, push the wall short. Maybe gain some space. He's got the repositioning from Hades to come in, but Lyngby Vikings, they're playing this perfectly, hiding throughout it. They're not giving anything away. They're not taking any chances, and for that reason, they'll come out ahead. 1-0 on the board now for the Danish side, and ENCE have to fall back with their tails underneath their legs. But it's a good start from the T side to get them started off nicely, as ENCE will have to play catch-up heading into this next round.
Yeah, Lyngby Vikings, they needed this. You know, if you're gonna head into a match where you already sort of feel a bit of pressure, of course, going up against ENCE, they are no slouches when it comes to this game. So that does allow a bit of leeway to work with. You know, you've got the pistol round, you can start feeling a bit more comfortable, and even though this is their own map pick, you will take anything that you can get. Lyngby Vikings. I want to see what kind of play they want to go for here. They want to push around the smoke of the CTs. Spinks, he gets an opportunity here. The first Deagle kill will pop off. Can he go for a second? Yes, he does, but a third will not connect. That is Toilets being taken control of by the CT side. The terrorist now feeling a lot of pressure because it's a 3v4. The nade connects, and Bird from Sky is within one-shot territory. He's going to be taken away despite the flashbang, and now they're feeling a lot of pressure. Hades manages to get a shot in before he goes down. Rawls 1v3, but he cannot find ahead. ENCE immediately take all of that comfort away.
They do indeed, quickly bouncing back in that situation, and I think they'll be very happy with that regard as well, getting themselves some rifles in their back pockets, Galil AKs as well, beautifully done, and now they're the ones in command, they're the ones with the reins, and Lyngby Vikings, I think they'll be scratching their heads after that one.
Yeah, those were some really nice looking shots from Spinks, I'm not gonna lie. I even thought that he might be able to get the third, but well, that kill from Hades while being flashbanged, that was the final nail in the coffin, I would say. Early nade. ENCE. They love pressuring mid, don't they? Already have a nade coming out from Hades. Spinks and Snappy, they will probably be the point of context if the player in connector starts to move up. Smoke being thrown out by the defenders to keep them at bay. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, there's the duck.
Uh-huh.
Excited again.
I'm just gonna leave the mic on. You know, just give everybody a quick taste.
I think the duck is excited that we're on overpass here. Manx able to deliver onto Hades, quickly bouncing back. Snappy putting that MP9 to the test. The Spinks, he's got a challenge here. Long distance will favor the Galil eventually, as he does put his bullet straight through his nostrils. Still a 2v4 endeavor. Lyngby Vikings definitely will have a hard time. And you know what? For us, I don't blame your duck for liking overpass quite a bit. I myself, I'm quite a big Simple man. I see balloons on a map, I like. There's a party area over there, you know, that's sort of
they've literally got a party going on. What is there not to like about this? And speaking of parties, I think Lyngby Vikings are about to throw one as well, because Manx, the two quick Deagle kills from him, they're showing signs of promise, and he's got the bomb as well. So perhaps he can greet Snappy with a bullet to his head, and he will. Dodo and Dika, now they've got a lot of pressure to hold onto that A bomb site. Dodo suffers a headshot, but he still manages to get away with his life and both kills.
That could have gone dicey. That could have gone south. It was dicey. That's how you speak English.
Yes, words, English.
Slowly finding my way within the realms of the English language. We'll get there eventually. If you guys want to be, of course, greeted to the realms of Trustly, that is basically the place you want to go when it comes to online transactions and payments, because they basically got you covered. Easy easy and swift transitions from account to account. Also, you could pay. You can pay for bets using within Pinnacle using Trustly, so that's definitely what you'd like to do if you're into that kind of stuff. But and start things off strong. Even though they lose a lot of play in the process, they at least have a lot of weapons to work around with, and I'm sure they'd love to get most of their kills on those MP9s.
Yeah, just rack up some of the extra money. It is mostly just a throwaway around, yes, as you mentioned. Maybe we can see a few heads flying off, but for the most part, I do like how ENCE is approaching this. They've got those MP9s. They want to stuff their cash registers with a bunch of money, and Hades is doing just that. You can see those dollar bills overflowing from his pockets as he does. But ENCE is already looking a bit dominant on overpass. I didn't particularly expect it to start off this way, where they would come back off of Deagles, but that is the case. Have managed to get it done, but Rawls does make it a bit more expensive in the process. But I don't think they're too worried about this because, well, they've only lost the money-making machines, and they wanted to upgrade anyway.
Well, I like the calm and collected approach from ENCE. Everybody seems to be in a focus mode. Looking to be as calm as possible to pull things ahead. And they do so. Lyngby Vikings, they've challenged quite big teams lately, and I think ENCE, they've got their number as of now. But the buy round, this is the first buy round across the board that we'll be having a look at, and quite likely to be a taster of how things will ensue. Hades, with AWP puts it to the test against Bird from Sky. Do they expect another follow-up, though, from Spinks here? Snappy does get killed off on the upper park, and Spinks will catch them off guard. Rolls gets the kill. Christu quick to react on it. 3v3, as Lyngby Vikings may look to challenge the B site as well.
Yeah, it has come down to the 3v3, but look at how ENCE is positioned for this. That's a freebie coming right up, but the trigger discipline will be maintained. Oh, he's almost missed a shot on Max. That could have gone South Hill, but it doesn't. South? Downhill? South Hill? Okay.
It works, I guess.
Making up new words in the process, but Lyngby Vikings, they want to make new avenues as this comes through.
Dodo, reload coming through, and it might not be the right timing. Gives away the Sankey, runs away. Flash out, maybe to assist one of his teammates to push on forwards, but instead, Christo crashes. The bomb is now dropped into water, and Daika is there to perform as well. Lovely stuff coming through from ENCE, and they do keep themselves ahead.
What a hold from ENCE. I love these little micro plays that come out. The fact that Manx was picked up in the fashion that he was on the backstab, Dodo, he played that to near perfection. And I say near because we both saw that little miss, but it's okay. As long as he didn't whiff it entirely, it is all good. Early Molotov from the CT side to keep this terrorist from coming out. Although Christo did try to peek on over from the Molotov, it doesn't matter because Hades can pick up that kill easily. Once again, a throwaway round, although I don't think Lyngby Vikings particularly wanted it to be one because they had some investment in utility from Bird from Sky. A smoke, a flash, a molly, perhaps some kind of push together with the pistols. It could work out in their favor. I mean, it did for ENCE at some point, so that could be the case.
Lyngby Vikings now with just the Deagles. Haven't found too much success, have they? I guess this gives room for ENCE to move across. Hades, I think he spotted out a player there, unless he just pulled the trigger in the dark. But now they know. They know exactly where two players are hiding out. One of them has to fall. Wallbang coming out as well. Rals, the only survivor for the Danish side, as Snappy will watch his Danish counterparts sort of fall slowly but surely. 13 points of health. Ooh, that was a clean shot by Rals. I wonder if he can bring anything else to the table. If he does, that'd be pretty exciting if you're a Lyngby Vikings fan. But I'm only expecting picks, nothing other than that. Hades, though, won't be challenged with that AWP, and ENCE continue with the 5th round on the board.
Already quite a dominant performance as far as the CT side is concerned, and because Hades is able to have such a good performance with the AWP around that party area, I'm not sure if they'll be allowed too much room coming into this map. Already Overpass doesn't seem to be going the way of Lyngby Vikings, and maybe except for that shot from the Deagle, but that's mostly meaningless, unfortunately. Let's see how Lyngby adjusts to this. Do they go for a faster style of play? It does seem to be the case because they're moving up short. Hades might be caught with his pants down because he's out in the open, doesn't get a chance to fire off a shot, and it's Manx and Christo getting 2 kills apiece. For the first time, perhaps, ENCE, they feel very pressured.
They do. Lyngby Vikings, they've done quite a substantial amount of work so far. Boost out. Ooh, the audio key has been given out, but they don't continue. Not quite sure if Max has been spotted. If he has, well, he's managed to get away in time. And the wallbang doesn't quite connect on him either, but look at their movement. Now heading to the upper side of Park. Make their way around towards the A side. I fear that ENCE don't have the right read. Spinks, he's got a huge job ahead of him. They're all starting to close in on him. Might be a bright and shiny and sunny day. They can shortly feel the pressure being unfolding onto them, keeping the players onto the B site really good distraction coming in from Manx, and Spix has to deal with this all by himself. Already caught on rotation, but he gets 2 kills in the process. Smoke out, giving him some extra space. No way. Peeks out again. Connection onto the head, and Dafu has to fall. Down to Christu. How does Spinks turn the tide of a game like this? He's not supposed to do that. Oh dear, Christu now is all by himself, has to deal with 2 players. Spots out 1, quick to react on the trigger. Now 2 kills up to his name, and he's got the bomb available for him. Diha, what can you do with this? Smoke out, coming out from Christu as he does touch the bomb, goes for it. Oh, spots him, spraying out Christu, that was insane. 3 kills to his name, and gifts this round to Lyngby Vikings.
What a round. It almost went the way of ENCE because Spinks had such a dominant hold on that A site. But Tafu's having none of it. Or rather, Christu. Now, Lyngby Vikings, some lifelines are going their way, which is a nice sight to see, but...
Oh, man. That was a good play by Spinks.
Yeah, that was honestly as much as he could have done.
Oh,
maybe
absolutely.
save for taking out Christo as well in the process. That was an incredible hold, but, well... Oh, it seems like the round has progressed quite a bit after that replay. Snappy's already been taken out of commission. The console being opened up and the disconnect being typed. Imagine if that's how you got a kill. You go over to the other player's PC and you type disconnect for them if you don't want to kill them.
Well, that would be an interesting approach to the game.
Yeah, our strategy... Walking over to their PC.
Yeah, dude, it's quite literally thinking out of the box. Like, imagine at LAN, you just walk out, you stand up. What are the rules against this?
Imagine the caster reactions on that. And he goes in for the Ethernet cable, pulls it out, and that's the clutch.
Oh, man. That's the clutch. 5 people disconnected on the opponent's server. Oh no, it's ridiculous.
Look at this raid from ENCE though. I think we need to get back to the game because they have a near perfect accuracy with regards to how they're approaching. They have 2 players on the A side itself and 2 players coming in hot as well. Oh no,
dear.
they've both been punished. Rolls and Dafu.
Hades, he missed his shot. Spinks wasn't quick enough on the trigger, which means that Dodo now has to go deal with it all by himself. 3 kills to his name, and he's got 4 points of health remaining. Diha is there to help him out. Oh my words! How the table turns, how the cookie crumbles, and now it's down to 1v1. Dodo looks to run away. He's really low, but he's got an element of timing. But no, Bird from Sky. He's quick to react, finds the head, and gifts the round back in favor of Lyngby Vikings.
What a back and forth round with 2 entries and then then the 3-man spray down and everything just coming to light. All members shining, but it all came down to that 1v1. Just look at how perfectly Dodo played that to position himself around these players to get that collateral. That was a round and a half.
As I like to call it, redonkulous. Ooh, look at the movement from Hades, though. He's only got a deagle, so this needs to look impressive, to say the least. Not quite sure if anybody's checking this corner out from Lyngby. Actually, yes, there is 1 player having a look at this area. I believe that is Manx Spinks. Has he been spotted? Ooh, 1 kill. He'll take that. Rifle picked up. Khalil at hand for Hades. Snappy. Not quite snapping onto his opponent's head from that angle. Definitely difficult when you've got stairs to walk upon. Not every day you try and choose this situation, but ENCE's fall by not quite working out for them. They went for the force. They've got 1 number in their favor, but they need to carry things forward. Flash out. D-Hut looking to move out of that. Spinks delivering with that MP9. Swings, but Riles is there to deliver. 3v4, and now Snappy and Dodo need to be careful of their backline as it is being challenged. They want to push simultaneously, so this is going to be a really difficult situation for them. Peeking through, putting that Mac-10 to quick use. They need to start getting onto the bomb to cause pressure onto the side of Lyngby, but it doesn't look like doing that. Flash coming out, has to move out of position. Spinks aggressive forwards using that MP9, draws out the pistol, wants a finisher, finds it. Do they touch the bomb? Headshot connects from Spinks! That could be the round for ENCE, but they've ran out of time, so Lyngby Vikings, they're going to win this round.
It's actually crazy how convincing ENCE have looked and still given up rounds to Lyngby Vikings, because all this time, it does come down to these individual sparks of prowess, or so to speak, from Lyngby Vikings. I'm not sure how they're able to pull up those numbers every single time, but it does seem to come to light. And I do think that the CT side will be incredibly damaged after this. Not much money. This is Lyngby Vikings' opportunity to move right on over to that tie. Make their T side a lot more dominant than they were previously allowed to do, but Dodo has started things off nicely with a Desert Eagle. Even gets a bit of extra change in the process, gets some damage in. And that should be all she wrote as far as his endeavors and connector are concerned.
Now, how do they approach this? We only had one trade out this round so far, but it seems like ENCE have resets onto the B site. Thanks. Ooh, he's being sneaky. He hasn't been spotted, pushing out. He's going to be able to catch 2 people off guard. Christo chimes in as well. That is perfect from Lyngby. They've got 2 players alive in contrast to the one of ENCE, and they've got clear site control with a bomb shortly to go down.
Spinks does have an opportunity here, doesn't he? Bird from Sky and Manx. They both could be taken away with 1 headshot each. He's praying to the MP9 gods. He's praying to RNGesus that somehow he can get those kills in. Gets a jumping headshot. Does he spot the second? Because he might have just spotted one through around the smoke. Seems like he's not showing his cards just yet. Manx, he's being very careful.
Oh, he read the play, now knows where he is. The AK-47 is more favorable from that distance. Max peeks out, but there goes the kill. No kid at hand for Spinks, no clutch. And Lyngby Vikings, it's the second time they win off time. 5-5, they found the equalizer.
Spinks actually had a decent shot there, but Max played that to near perfection. I'm not sure if that was just the X-ray, but was Max visible the whole time? I wasn't quite able to read the radar properly in that instance, but I would like to think that Max wasn't. Oh, look at this push coming in from Lyngby Vikings. They want to move right in, Pavlos.
They do indeed. Snappy's there with the spray down. It's simple stuff. It's hard to imagine that Lyngby Vikings went for the full buy here because they got just smashed down to the ground, dismantled, as if they only were holding pistols. Beautifully done, and ENCE, they keep control over the B site. Lyngby Vikings may have found the equalizer, but I think ENCE have had enough. They want to make sure this one goes their way so they can at least have an advantage to work with now.
I do like how Lyngby Vikings approached it, though, because generally speaking, they haven't been going for these fast pushes, but to wait for ENCE's gun run and then immediately go for a B push afterwards, it's a bit unorthodox, you know? Just throw a wrench in the works. Perhaps ENCE doesn't expect it. Maybe they don't have the right setup for it. But unfortunately for them, the A1S just reigns supreme. Lyngby Vikings, they haven't been able to get even a scratch in on ENCE. Maybe Spinks has more than a scratch, even a dent perhaps, but in the grand scheme of things, we know how these player models are. They can have only a functional pinky and still work just fine. Up until they lose that last point of health, then it's rip. Look at that, Pavlos. That is beautiful stuff.
It's beautiful stuff, man. Absolutely is. They line up for him perfectly, and you gotta love what Lyngby Vikings have brought out to the table. 4 rounds in a row, but ENCE, they stop things right in their tracks. Timeout coming out, and I guess this gives us time to sort of tell you guys about the offer that Pinnacle has at hand. If you head over to pinnacle.com/odds, you may have a chance to, well, not have a chance, you definitely have a 100% chance to get yourself €10 back after you bet €10 as well on Esports over at Pinnacle. But you need to use the code CUP21 as a new customer. Also, Pinnacle does pride themselves on really being well, basically promoting the fact that you need to be betting in a safe manner. So make sure that you do bet responsibly and only bet what you can afford. Of course, when the fun stops, stop in that regard. But ENCE, I don't think they show any signs of stopping. And Lyngby Vikings, I'm fairly surprised they actually go for the full-on spent here.
Yeah, they seem to be leaning into the Deagles, the Tech 9, the P250 on the hands of Christo. It's actually just Christo that hasn't completely bought up, and the reason for that is that they eventually want an AWP in his hands. So that's not a risk that they're willing to take, even if they're going to delve into their pockets as deep as they can. But Dicha, I believe he's gotten a fair bit of information. He knows that there are 3 players there, almost even had the lineup to potentially take somebody through the wooden planks, but now Lyngby are setting up for the B push.
Yeah, indeed, Bird from Sky. Is he going to get this push going on? Smoke again. I think Lyngby Vikings will hope that this is not deja vu. They don't get sprayed down in similar fashion like they did before, but Dodo is there with the lineup. Diha looks to join in as well. It's going to be simple pickings for them. Lyngby Vikings, the buy doesn't work out, and hence they start to ease away with a 2-round differential.
And now I'm starting to see some signs of comfort in the same level that we previously saw from ENCE. If you recall, their initial spree of rounds was a complete shutdown. Even when Lyngby Vikings did come back into it a little bit, the idea behind it was just coming down to the aim duels. I do think that ENCE has overall had a much better setup than Lyngby Vikings, and that has led to some more consistent victories across the board. But look at how Dicha wants to take advantage of the smoke fading. Want to move straight on into T-spawn. I don't think he'll aggress past this point, though, because that would be walking into a bear trap.
Swing. Ooh, hello. He knows where a few of those players are hanging out on. He sticks around, though.
Ooh,
oh, that might be greedy, though. Imagine if he bruises that AK-47. That will give them a chance. Spots up. The bomb falls back to safety. Doesn't take any damage in the process either.
That's
so
bait.
He'll be happy about that. It is bait.
Yeah, he wanted to be chased down into the tunnels so that Dodo would get a free shot at picking them away. So I do like that kind of approach, even if it did get a bit greedy there in the process. Although this is mostly just a throwaway round for Lyngby Vikings, not really much they can do off of these Glocks. They had a full investment in the previous round, with the exception of Christo, of course, for the op. So,
ooh, there you go. Dangling legs. Simple pickings. Dodo and Diha, they chime in again. The 2 stellar hold of the B site.
keep in mind, Pavlos, this is Lyngby Vikings' map pick. So if they allow ENCE to get to double digits on the CT side, it still might not be the worst case scenario. Of course, they can come back from it, but if you're on the CT, then you don't want to give too much importance to the pistol round. And that's something they're trying to desperately prevent. The AWP now in the hands of Christo does mean that he wants to challenge the potential player in Playground, or rather in Party. Hades, the counterpart to the AWP player, doesn't aggress forward enough for the duel to come his way. Nice little B-hop. He's been spending time on the KZ server. I like that.
You spend quite a lot of time on B-hop, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, but Spank sees in a really difficult angle here. Delivers with a 1 shot. Ooh, surprisingly enough, Christo misses that shot. It should have been simple. He should have expected it, but no. Under pressure, he misses. And ENCE, they'll like that because that's 2 kills freely under their belts. Max, though, tries to bring things to a more equal standpoint. Denied by Dodo, as he himself has to fall. Challenged again. Oh, this is looking strong from ENCE, man. They're looking really, really good. Lyngby Vikings struggling to counterplay them any sort of position. Pistol at hand, Dodo shuts Bird from Sky up, and ENCE 9-5 being the scoreline with 1 round remaining in the half. They still have potential to turn things to double digits.
This is looking bleak at the very end. Lyngby Vikings. It's not a great spot to be in if you're on the last round of the half and you've got no money to work off of. What we can expect, of course, is Tech 9s, a Galil, like UMP, and whatnot. But for the most part, this is going to be a very difficult round for Lyngby Vikings. Even with full weaponry, we haven't seen them winning out too many aim duels against ENCE, so this is definitely something they need to watch out for. They've left the bomb all the way back, so they can't really aggress on B even if they wanted to, even if they found a pick. it's not like they can immediately capitalize. So Lyngby Vikings, I'm not sure if I fully agree with the idea that they've gone for, where they're split up, because they desperately need the numbers together if they want to capitalize on the potential of trades, or maybe if they can just have a lot of manpower close by.
Again, it's the UMPs, man. Guess we're only seeing 1 and 2 MAC-10s on the other side, but still. Seeing a resurgence of that weapon. Quite a fan of it. ENCE, they seem favored, but Bird from Sky. I think Snappy, they've got the idea. Yeah, they will check it. Easy picking. And they check back on into the tunnel then. He misses out on his chance. Peeks out, but by light time, they've had time to reposition and find cover. And ENCE find an easy, advantageous position as they get that early numbers advantage. Now, the A site is under attack. Spinks, he's going for a quick rotation, but Hades gets knocked out of this round by Ross putting a head, well, putting a bullet through his head. Manx as well. How the table has turned. And now the A site is completely breached by Lyngby Vikings. 3v4, they've even got the numbers to tell for it.
Okay, but they've taken out the AWP player. That makes things significantly easier heading on to the bomb site. Tika spots ahead, takes one out. Dafu, he can hold on to his horses for long enough, but Dodo, he's got the prime position for a 1v2. Makes it one duel remaining. He has isolated Manx, but he still needs to find him. Dodo looking for every single angle. He's finding himself in between a rock and a hard place, and Manx will find his head instead. Lyngby Vikings, at least, they hold on to this half. They disallow double digits.
Oh my word, Lyngby Vikings had a much lower buying potential that round, but they're able to make it work nonetheless. Although you do appreciate the approach from Diha there. The kills he managed to get, but he ran out of bullets. I believe if he had enough bullets, he could have closed out the kill onto Riles, which that could have been a massive difference maker. Then Dodo would be in that 1v1. Or maybe a 1v2 potentially in favor of the ENCE side, but no. It is Lyngby Vikings to close things out and at least close out the half in a good point. And a good smirk there from ENCE. Are they, they're comfortable. They're not challenged heavily currently. They know they're the favorites. Just need to be in a calm state as we do go across with this technical timeout. And Faraz, why don't you talk us a little bit about Trustly, yeah?
Yeah, Trustly, it's a payment gateway that allows you to make your payments flow quickly from account to account with no cards, no app download, and no registration. I mean, if you're going to go ahead and check out Pinnacle, you can make a deposit with Trustly, and of course, that way, I'm going to change the saying around a little bit this time. You can feed 2 birds with 1 scone.
2 birds with 1 scone?
Yes.
I've never fed a bird with scones. But, you know, there's always a first.
Uh-huh. I just imagine that you've grabbed a bird and you're force-feeding it a scone, which is somehow managing to be worse than hitting it with a stone. What are you doing, Pavlos?
I mean, it's
in good faith, but come on, man.
You've got a pet duck, so I shouldn't be the one talking about bird brutality.
Oh no.
We're supposed to love birds here.
Fair enough.
So yeah, maybe we should swap out that saying altogether, right? Oh well. But it's the pistol round to come ahead, and with a 3-round differential between the 2 teams, Lyngby Vikings have got a good chance to close the gap entirely.
Yeah, this is... It's still not the end of the world if they end up losing the pistol round, but it is very important. ENCE, of course, they want to solidify their chances of taking up the opponent's map pick, but Spinks, he's picked up a kill on Dafu, and that makes things a lot easier heading into this for ENCE. And I think they recognize that A might just be wide open. The rotations, they're now being called in, but it's just Bird from Sky on A. And even he hasn't made it there just yet. This is perfect for ENCE. The way they're positioned, Lyngby Vikings, they're going to have no idea what hit them.
I'm surprised the second player from the Lyngby Vikings hasn't positioned towards the A site as well, because Bird from Sky jumped up and he saw them crossing now towards Connector, but now he'll be challenged by Diha, finds one shot. Oh, the flash! That hurts! ENCE more than it really helped out. That could have been the closer for Diha, but crisis averted as Spinks puts a bullet straight through his skull. Snappy now, he's on the rotate duty, but quickly falls. 3 against 3, Lyngby Vikings. They're eager to get onto this site as quickly as possible. Spinks holding out a really close angle, not quite sure if he'd be spotted out. Max delivering, Christu as well. Diha, he's the only player standing. ENCE completely slaughtered as Rouse is able to find the last frag, giving Lyngby Vikings the pistol round and a potential gap closer that they very much would like.
A bit surprised that Lyngby Vikings come out on top there, because it seemed like ENCE had the perfect setup. They headed on over to the A bomb site. It was ideal circumstances. It was just Burr from Sky remaining, but they took long enough that Lyngby Vikings were able to come back into it. Now, ENCE, of course, they want to stop it right here. They've got guns blazing, they've got Spinks on an AK, they've got a couple baby AKs in there as well, and then they truly have a baby AK in the hands of Snappy, because that's a Tech 9. It just, yeah. Other than that, Hades, of course, on his signature scout. Oh man, that's a fair bit of damage being exchanged. Dodo and Spinks, they've been tagged up heavily. Early on in the round, ENCE are looking for some space to work with. The bomb being collected. Maybe they want to head on over to A because, oh, Max, that's an opportunity at a kill. That's been missed. Doesn't quite turn into a full-on engagement.
There's no. You start to wonder if you're ENCE, if this force spy will sort of start to unravel itself in their own favor, because it's definitely a difficult situation. They haven't gained too much ground. Wherever they greeted contact, they've also greeted bullets in return. But look at this push now. They're heading on towards the A site.
Rawls, he's gotten a fair bit of damage in already. ENCE, they want to do this the old-fashioned way. Not too many flashes, nothing. Christo, he's actually managed to find himself a little one-way smoke to work for himself. Lyngby Vikings, they don't seem to have much of a chance here, but Christo, because he's used that one-way smoke, he's able to get a free frag. But he gets caught in the back. Snappy makes it so expensive. Dijo with a quick two-man spray down, puts ENCE on double digits and takes away any breathing room that Lyngby Vikings had.
And you were thinking, ENCE, they came into this with a lesser buy. They came into the take with lesser health, but they still managed to scramble that victory. The take was good, the initial kills were good, and the setup was even better. You gotta love the aggression that's coming out through the smoke. Christo wanted to go for something sneaky, but instead Snappy read the play. He smelt him behind him and was able to deliver. And now ENCE, they're back in it. Double digits brought on board. And Lyngby Vikings, they had a chance to close out the gap, but that might have been stopped. I hear you saying ouch. And I also see Christo putting a bullet straight between the eyes of his opponent, which does put ENCE on a deficit in numbers.
Unfortunately, it's just a deficit in numbers because the money, the weaponry, everything's going the way of the terrorist side at the moment. At least they're off to a great start. Lyngby, if Christo can still pop off one more shot, then at that point, oh no, that's an opportunity that won't be granted because Snappy, that's a bit of a freebie for him, but he's looked around. Rawls is able to deliver with a quick headshot of the Deagle. Dijo will neutralize his opponent, but that's already at the cost of one man being taken out of commission. This is where ENCE start to move on to the B bomb. So, but what they don't realize is that Lyngby Vikings have already gambled all the way. They have 3 players waiting with the Desert Eagles. Burr from Sky and Daffo, they have some verticality of it to work with. And this should be at least a kill coming through with the Eagles. Dika, he's making the M4 work. He's gotten 2. And Spinks, he's pressuring Max. They've got him pincered in from 2 situations, but now Max can actually do it. He's gotten 1 kill, just needs to find 1 more headshot. Spinks takes a shot to the heart, but it's not enough to kill him. Comes around the corner, and that is it. Spinks puts an end to the madness that Max might have started.
Man, Lyngby Vikings, yes, they went for the full expenditure there. Yes, they bought up as much as they could, but the firepower initially for ENCE was so greater than their opponents that it shouldn't have been a close endeavor like that. But it was. Lyngby Vikings, they challenged quite a bit. Feels like it might be early in the morning for a few people, but still, it's surprising how well they did in that situation, but they're still forced down to another buy round, actually. I would have expected they would have let this round go, give ENCE the advantage, perhaps get themselves a 12th, but no, they go for the boost play, looking for that initial damage, but it looks like Hades is the one to come out on top.
Look at Spinks' position if he chases them down. Oh no, that doesn't work out, but Snappy, he's been caught with a Molotov. That's a free kill. Bird from Sky capitalizes with his Deagle. And at least they've kept the numbers close, but this is a big risk from Lyngby Vikings, Pavlos, because if they've bought up entirely, that means that ENCE will be allowed to move on to 13, perhaps even 14, without much of a contest. This is too much of an investment. ENCE. There's not much that the CT side can do in this instance, and that will be evidenced by the idea that Rouse is no longer on the server.
Yeah, contact was found by Hades, and he holds true to his own ground. Now Dafu, it's got a Deagle who has to work with here. As the defense lineup of Lyngby Vikings has to be polarized across the map, they'll soon realize that it is the A site that they're going for, since Bird from Sky hasn't spotted out a single player towards the short side. Diha, though, will quickly deal with Dafu, and considering that ENCE has still got 4 players alive remaining, I've got the idea that a Bird from Sky will look for a weapon to play with. Not quite sure what sort of weapon Snappy had initially, because I remember he only fell with a Molotov at hand, so I can't quite recall if he had an AK-47 or something, or if ENCE has been able to throw it off the map. But no. Either way, ENCE, it's a stellar performance, though Lyngby Vikings' gamble here might not quite work out. I understand what they wanted to go for, right? They wanted to wait for that loss bonus to add up. But still, it's a gamble, and there's a reason it's called as such, because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and in this case, it simply did not.
You can see how nervous Lyngby Vikings feel about the economy that is about to come their way, because Bird from Sky even wanted to stick on to that MP9 as much as he could. Now, ENCE are only 4 rounds away from potentially closing out Lyngby Vikings' map pick. That is a tough dish to be served. If you're going to head on over to map number 2, you're trying to have a bit of an underdog upset. That's not the way to start things off, and ENCE just want to make the game harder as it progresses. 4 AKs, a MAC-10, Snappy. It's the only one that doesn't get the big boy guns, but I'm sure he can make it work just the same. Lyngby Vikings, you mentioned gambles, and I believe they're going for something very similar once more. Snappy, if he looks away at the right time, that's a free kill on Bird from Sky.
It is indeed. For us, we did think that this game would be a close endeavor, right? Obviously, ENCE coming into Overpass. There's some sort of prowess that they're looking to hold. The Snappy skids through the water. It's not exactly the cleanest water you sort of want to play around with, you know. It is a sewage area after all. But yeah, no, I really like how Lyngby Vikings have been approaching a lot of these rounds, and most of them have been closer than what the scoreline does depict, isn't it? Like, a lot of the times, Lyngby Vikings are challenging with a few kills here and there, and especially considering they've got weapons to work with here, if they can still be extra damage. No.
Ouch.
Poor man receives an HG grenade to the stomach, and that is an ugly way to die.
That nade was thrown from far enough that the nade exploded immediately as it approached. So it's a bit scary when that happens, when you don't even get a chance to process the nade and then you're dead.
Ouch.
That ends. Ouch indeed. And I think more ouchies are in order, because it is 13-7, and Dafu's been taking most of the ouchies, courtesy of Dicha, winning out most of the aim duels. Ooh, just pull the trigger, my man. Actually, not sure what that lineup was, but
yeah,
never mind.
I do like the double AWP setup from Lyngby Vikings, though. Looking to switch things up a bit. Something we haven't really seen too much so far today. But the Danish side will look to I guess change the pace of this game and how it's being played. They built up money, so they want to make sure they get a good use of it. And spread out. Divide and Conquer is the name of the game for them. You can see that's one of their divisions. Doesn't quite go their way. Ooh, the smoke is fairly deep, so Bird from Sky needs to be careful in that situation. Not get off on a 2-off angle, because Snappy from that angle could shut him down. But they are lining up towards the B site, and Lyngby Vikings seems like they're wary of this angle. It's injury thrown out. Ooh, it's really strong, and they might delay it in time. Dodo, though, does line one shot through the smoke and actually works out for him. Snappy turns around and realizes Manx is there and waiting. Goodbye, good sir. But Dafu, how quick can he be on the rotation? Already finding one. Looking for the second one as they cross through. He's successful in finding it. Bomb goes down, but needs to get himself on site. Dodo will punish getting 2 kills to his name so far. Ross shutting him down before more damage is inflicted, but Hades is there. Shot found, and ENCE, they've got double the amount of rounds Lyngby Vikings have accumulated so far.
I really like the idea there that Lyngby Vikings had, where in the last few seconds they wanted to use a Molotov on short to funnel everybody to Monster instead, but then they didn't capitalize on it, did they? That was an interesting shot. I'm glad that production was able to catch that, because I think Christo maybe tapped the A key or something, and it was all, it shook around a bit too much, but regardless. That was a good setup from Lyngby Vikings that didn't end up truly working out in their favor. ENCE, with some of the prowess from Hades, they're able to come out on top. Christo almost gets caught out as he's retreating in toilets, but now they know where he is. That's a lot of information being relayed, and he's being pressured from 2 positions. Maybe the backup can come in from Connector, but I don't think it can come in soon, because Christo, he's already out. That's the first frag for ENCE. That's the entry, and that could potentially be the A bomb site, and to top it all off, that's the cherry being delivered by Dika.
Special delivery. Here comes the cherry. Imagine having just like one delivery van come to your door and he's holding a cherry in his hands. Here you go. That's to put on the icing. Daffy though, he's got a good job on ahead of him. Manx looking to shut things down. HE grenade. You would have thought this was the beginning of the end for ENCE, but no. Lyngby Vikings still holding strong, especially considering they've got all 3 players of the defense onto the side of the map. Now pushing through. Spinks, flash is perfect. Snappy able to catch one off guard, but it's still a 1-for-1 trade. Daffy repositioning, finding one more kill. Down to a 2-on-2. Both players of the ENCE side are low, and the same thing could be said about Bird from Sky. Snappy waiting for the molly to dissipate as he looks to change his position. Misses out on the headshot, which means that Daffy can recapitalize on that angle. Oh dear, Dotto. They line up, spray down, but Dafu, another bullet straight through the head of Dodo will give Lyngby Vikings another living chance in this map.
That was Dafu coming back to life with 4 kills. They're going to need a lot more of these individual highlights, these flashes, to turn into a fire if they want to stop these players at 14. But I don't think ENCE will allow it. I think they've had enough. Lyngby Vikings. This is a CT side that will always be a fickle affair. The money isn't really favoring them. Even losing this round would mean that ENCE won't give them a fair shot at fighting for 15. Christo almost found a head there, and he will try to facilitate a teammate in taking away the duel, but switching over to the USB, that doesn't work out in his favor. Surprisingly, Dika, he gets away with both. That's not something that should be allowed at all, and Manx, he's being peltered by bullets.
Oh dear. Lyngby Vikings. You thought you had a chance before, but ENCE, they're really hammering on. Don't want to give them too much breathing space. Want to start things off well on this first map and prove to the world that they will not be beaten by underdogs. This time, their approach towards the A site won't be greeted by 3 players. Instead, we're actually seeing the gamble from Bird from Sky heading towards the B site. Not quite sure what you're laughing at. Was it some parkour at play?
Yeah, it was Dika doing the good old classic reverse rabbit.
Oh, they know. They know. What they will soon realize, though, that wasn't previously within their realms of knowledge, is that the A site is barren. Empty of any counter-terrorists. Nowhere near its site. Lyngby Vikings. The gamble means that they will have to save their weapons to the next round, putting ENCE on map and well, not serious point, on map point. I'm getting too ahead of myself here, Wild Daddy. But yeah, this is a really strong showing from ENCE here. And Spinks might want to challenge their weapons as well. Look at that. It's just killing off all these weapons would be a massive thing for ENCE because Lyngby Vikings, they will have nothing left for the next round.
Yeah, I was gonna mention, Pavlos, you might think that you're getting ahead of yourself, almost saying serious point, but because of how dominant ENCE have been on Lyngby Vikings' map pick, I'm worried for them. Oh no, Dodo. Okay. At least they get away with an MP9. That is a sigh of relief if you're in the shoes of Lyngby Vikings.
Oh, what can you do with one MP9 though for us? What can you do?
A whole lot if they line up.
Well, you have to be really lucky. Yeah, they have to be in a really close angle.
And then they have to get headshotted, so yeah, not a whole lot. Let's see, now that we've said it, it's probably gonna happen. Okay, let's look at the setup from the T side. 3 players towards playground, 1 contesting short. And a nade will fly out. That is already ENCE getting the opening frag. The second information has been spotted too, so this is already becoming very tricky. And I think Dika may have spotted a barrel as well here on long. Yes, he does. Finds the headshot, and that is it. It's already a 3v5, a minute and 20 seconds into the game, and Dodo, being this close around the corner, he actually ends up giving an opportunity for Manx to bring it all the way back.
Yeah, might not be it just yet. Lyngby Vikings holding on to a thread. But at least there exists one they can hold on to. Again, the A site to be approached for yet another time. Lyngby Vikings, though, instead of going for the full B attack dedication. Hades, ooh, that is Christo out of the equation. Goodbye, good sir. I think ENCE, they're well on their road to close out this map. They look dominating so far. The CT side looks stronger, but the T side of theirs
Look at Hades' position.
looks a lot better. Oh yeah, and you're looking at Hades as well. He's coming in with a backstab, but it might not even come to it because Snappy is too quick. Gets caught off guard with a flash at hand. But it looks like Manx is anticipating something from behind. The bomb is planted for Hades as well. So, ooh, touched. Hades. AWP shot comes through. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Map number 1 goes to the side of ENCE. We'll be seeing you right after the break if these players do get themselves some food in their mouths, some water as well to replenish themselves. But other than that, we'll be back very shortly, so do not go anywhere.
Welcome back, everybody, to map number 2. You're watching ENCE versus Lyngby Vikings, and although map number 1 was Lyngby Vikings' pick, and somehow got a very convincing lead on it. Of course, I am Waldady, joined by none other than X-Warrior.
Yeah, back it in again for us, looking to see if Lyngby Vikings can bounce back after that 1 map deficit. Definitely will look to be favored when it comes to Nuke, but Hades does take Daffy to his own command. Bird from Sky as well chimes in fairly quickly, but Lyngby Vikings quickly make their way onto the A site, planting the bomb, but ENCE don't take any time to sort of gather now onto the site with Dodo getting the first shot in. But for us, how does this next part commence? Because Dodo, he's holding down his ground. 2 kills going one after the other. Oh, just in a matter of seconds, he flies through kills. And all of a sudden, it's all back to Christo, and there's nothing much he can do apart from getting 2 kills. How is that even possible? And now he needs to find 2 more. He doesn't have time, he doesn't have a kit, but he will touch the bomb, make sure he lures the 2 players out of position, but Spinks will be able to capitalize on him. ENCE take the round, although things got very, very dicey.
Yeah, those are some really nice kills from Dodo, the way he held down the line on Heaven so convincingly. You gotta love to see it, and ENCE, they're already starting off strong on their own mapping. That wasn't the case for Lyngby Vikings. Well, actually, if I quickly jog our memories, it was Lyngby Vikings that took the piss around, but ENCE, they brought it back right after. So maybe we can see a replication of that ordeal. Who knows? Maybe ENCE will drop the ball here, but with how seasoned they've been looking today, they're surely not looking like they're the type of team that will be dropping a map to Lyngby Vikings. ENCE, they're not aggressing forward too much just yet. They know that Lyngby Vikings, being on deagles, being on pistols, and having a scout rifle to supplement, opportunity is exactly what they're looking for. Some kind of opening outside is all they need. And that's something of a privilege that ENCE are not allowing just yet. A couple smokes go out, that'll allow free mobility around outside. And Dodo will also make it a little bit easier to navigate with a flashbang to work with. Dika and Dodo tag teaming up for 2 kills.
Ooh, quickly ENCE do put their mark on their opponents. Likely to get themselves a 2-0 start. Ooh, Diha though. He did get challenged initially. You would have thought that Manx could have run away with a kill there, but I think he missed one of his deagle shots. If he was able to connect all 3, then that would have been D-head to 4. But no, Tafu. He's in a saving venture. Puts himself into a corner. You can hear some commotion going on behind him. He fears for his life, trembling, if you will. Quick picking onto Diha. Mac-10 to be picked up as well, considering... No, actually, we'll stick around with the deagle, not make any noise in that prospect. Find a second one, although he has been dinked. It seems like ENCE want to go for him. Why not? Flash coming through, delaying that push. Looking for a headshot would be exactly what he'd be wanting in this situation, but no, Spinks finds the finishing blow, and ENCE will close things out with a 2-0 start.
Lyngby Vikings now. Of course, this should just be a case of the good old USPs. USP, of course, standing for you should patiently wait out this round because there's nothing you can do with them. Ooh, that's actually a fair bit of damage from Max's nade. Dika and Snappy, they're within the range of getting tapped away by a USP, so maybe a couple frags can still come their way. Most of their attention, though, yeah, they're in secret. They've got a lot of attention here. Dika, he wants to hold on to dear life because now he realizes that this is way too much to deal with. But the smoke will act as a curtain for him to capitalize on, and now he wants to go on for the full-on ace, but Hades will deny it, snatch it up, and gobble it up.
Oh, Dika gets a full-on 4K just by pressing mouse 1 and the S key. He was literally backing out of that situation while pressing that trigger. Precisely. Look at that. Backwards movement, still being accurate with Mac-10 because it's the Mac-10. And yeah, no, it's ENCE to start things off with a 3-0 manner. Technical pause to infringe its way onto the map. It's hopefully it doesn't take too long. It actually doesn't, but you know, just like
you
that,
had one
it only
wish.
takes 5 seconds.
You used it on a technical timeout.
Yeah. They were all wondering why was the Mac-10 so accurate on the backside. But ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you that Pinnacle is the place to be when it comes to online betting. They offer the best odds when it comes to matches like that. And also they have an offer at hand that if you sign up with the code 21, you can get €10 back after a €10 bet in esports. And you might want to use that to your advantage. Spinks, challenge, 2 points of health, but they're going to push on through either way.
Yeah, there should be a spray down because ENCE, they're not being allowed any opportunity whatsoever. Hades and Dika, they might have made it a bit more doable, but Hades only gets away with 1.
He does indeed. He's all by himself at this point. Taken out of his misery by Christu. Lyngby Vikings, they get themselves on the board.
Yeah, that was an incredibly fast round, and if you want to make your payments flow as fast from account to account as quickly, you can go ahead and check out our partners at Trustly. It says powered by Trustly right there, and that is for good reason. If you want to make a payment on pinnacle.com/odds, you can also use Trustly for that, so do go ahead and check them out.
Early movement coming in from Bird from Sky. Sneaking himself into this corner. As you can see, that ENCE, they're taking their time. I believe they're lining up some smokes towards the outside area currently, but it's being challenged by 2 people. Manx in close proximity. Bird from Sky catching D off guard. Could that be it? Double smoke lines up, Molly out of the way, flash to keep him to safety. Actually, Snappy can't quite find the finishing buy one to him, which means still anyone's game. But from Sky peeks out again, looking in a challenge. I love that he's using the Molotov to his advantage. The fact that the sight line is being compromised on the Lyngby side, but from Sky takes good use of that situation and manages to fall back to safety. ENCE with a numbers deficit. They need to bring out madness here, and they're looking to find an advantage elsewhere.
That's an elbow being spotted. Dodo knows. And I don't think Dafu realizes this instance just yet. Has to go for the chase, but he can't be too quick on this. ENCE, this could be busting the A site wide open if he gets it, and Dafu has fallen. This should be the information being relayed if he'd like to. Flashbang comes out, anticipating somebody coming in from outside, and he does. Christo, he's quickly reclaimed all ground that was previously lost on the A side, and ENCE, within 30 seconds, they've got to pull up some huge numbers. Hades puts Rouse in the grave, but he's got a lot more to do. Wants to head down ramp. There's still a line of defense available. Bird from Sky, he can easily get the lineup. That's all he's got to do. Spinks, he will deny the kill, and with only 15 seconds, they might still have just the time to go for the bomb plant, but hold that thought, because there's one more line of defense that they haven't accounted for. It's Max, right behind the door, ready and waiting, takes the bomb out of his hands. Spinks has the opportunity, and he actually gets it in the last few seconds. ENCE, they do it the old-fashioned way with bullets.
Oh, Spinks, that was insane. 2 headshots, one after the other. They somehow line up within a similar proximity. And when you thought Lyngby Vikings could have started to square rounds one after the other, think again, because ENCE bouncer back here. We saw that under Pinnacle Lodge just as they swift past and on your screens. ENCE there completely under control of this game and not really giving Lyngby Vikings a chance.
ENCE, if they end up winning this round, yes. Any chances that Lyngby Vikings have at securing this first half on a strong start, they will be taken away. But this is Christo's moment to shine, and he's looked away.
Oh, smokes as well, facilitating the push. Bird from Sky waiting for it. They've crossed over, just as you said, while Dairy, and now they're heading towards Secret onto the B site, where Lyngby Vikings only have one player holding it.
Yeah, Rawls, he's got a big task ahead of him. As the doors open, he's going to have to hold the line down all by himself. Bird from Sky, now he's actually joined the battle, so they've got 2 players to deal with. Rouse is in the moment as well, the AWP to help out, and in the nick of time, all reinforcements, all scrubs are on deck. Spinks can't really replicate his previous successes because he's all alone on the A-bomb site.
And we thought ENCE only had to deal with one player when it came to that B-bomb site, but Lyngby Vikings, they initially had one player to the bottom side of the map, but no, they quickly came to unite together as one singular front. Lyngby Vikings so fast on their feet that ENCE didn't quite have the time to gain control of the site in the first place. The bomb couldn't get planted, there was no space, and Spinks, he's now left all by himself. He looks to find some damage from the upper side of the silo, in case Lyngby Vikings do regress and look for the kill, but this was a really important situation for the Danes, as a loss here would really cause a massive dent into their economical situation. And considering that they're able to save an AWP and 3 rifles to the next round is really important for them as well.
That was an incredibly important round, as you mentioned. If Lyngby Vikings had ended up losing it, that would be a couple more rounds being chained by the ENCE roster. Just easy pickings. Make it to 6-1. Make it to 7-1. So although that might just seem like one round, it makes things a lot more comfortable for the Lyngby Vikings side. And at the same time, it also makes things significantly harder for ENCE, who are now having their eyes set on outside. They've got a smoke to work with. Actually, plenty of utility all across the board, because ENCE, they still do have a fair bit of faith in this round working out in their favor. The Tech 9s, they can never be underestimated, regardless of the level of gameplay you're looking at. They can always work out in your favor. Not too much damage comes out outside. It's actually Dodo who ends up picking up an AWP, because Christo, he's been overpowered.
Rawls, he's the only man holding this lineup here into the control room. They don't challenge him, which means that he can still be the saving grace for Lyngby Vikings by the time. Ooh, D has notices him, connects the headshots. Diha, you are insane. Draws out the pistol in time to save his life and permit the bomb plant to come across. He may have just saved a round for ENCE and saved themselves from Lyngby Vikings' comeback, because that was insane.
I'm a big fan of how much attention to detail Diha had there. He recognized that observation was not being cleared out by a single member of the ENCE squad. And while he's planting, he's got the corner of his eye peeled. As soon as he sees it, he's like, nope, not today. Runs away. Gets behind cover and pulls out a Tech 9 just in time. So this is still not terrible for Lyngby Vikings. The reason I say that is because Birds from Sky and Dafu can get away with weapons. And because Rouse has enough money, they can still buy up an additional round. The flip side of things, however, is that an investment into this round will guarantee that they are they are cash strapped for the next couple of rounds. So it is a bit of a gamble to go with, but it seems like that's what they have opted for. Utility on Bird from Sky, Manx and Dafu, Christo on that SG, Rawls on the big daddy of rifles, save for the AWP. He's going to be picking up the AUG. ENCE, they want to get some early control over outside, and I do think they'll be able to get it, because this time it's not the big old AWP, it's the little brother, it's the scout rifle.
The little brother still has capabilities, but with those smokes, it definitely limits them substantially. Incendiary blocking their view of entry. Field of entry, if I may. Christo really anticipating a push to come out from the ENCE side. Aggression to be expected, really, but only one cross to come out. Diha does manage to make his way across. Christo does find that one kill in the process, so still, Lyngby Vikings seem to be under control of the situation. Diha pushes through. It's all a matter of timing. Christo, though, spots him. Oh, the timing just works out in Chris's favor, but Dotto able to capitalize on it as well, tracing through. But Lyngby Vikings are the team with that numbers advantage. How does ENCE move forwards? Because they haven't found access to any of the sites yet.
And Lyngby Vikings are getting a lot of vital information with this push in lobby. Snappy, if he walks all the way forward, Max, he's got the perfect smoke lined up. And this is why ENCE know that there is no challenging it. Instead, they'll just be rushing onto the A bomb site. They know they just have to win out aim duels.
They absolutely do. Bird from Sky mollied out for the time being, and the Flash will have to work himself into this point. Dafu and Bird from Sky, they hold their lines in a substantial fashion, successful fashion, if you will. Snappy, though, he's got a big job to do with no time remaining. Manx comes in from below, says hello, and goodbye is the final words exchanged. Lyngby Vikings, they're not going to allow their opponents to run away with it that easily, and at least the odds aren't as extreme as they were previously a few rounds ago. At least Lyngby Vikings have some sort of a chance to bring a comeback out.
But in the meantime, if you want to go ahead and check out our partners over at Pinnacle, now you can go to pinnacle.com/odds, where you can find the latest in-play offerings for ENCE versus Lyngby Vikings and a variety of other markets. And there's a promotion running on Pinnacle right now, where if you bet 10 euros, you get 10 euros back. So if you want to double up your money in that regard, do go ahead and check them out. But you do have to sign up using the code CUP21. And while you're doing that, maybe go ahead and make a payment with Trustly. I mean, if you are going to make a deposit, you can use our payment gateway partners. But back into the game. Oh, look at this. Pinks and Rawls are having a bit of a standoff. The smoke not favoring the person that actually threw it out. Bit of a betrayal in that regard, but Lyngby Vikings, now they're the ones that have a bit more pressure on them. Passivity still seems to be the name of the game as far as Lyngby are concerned, with the exception of 2 players pushed into HUT. How does this work out, Pavlos?
Ooh. I think they found themselves into a pickle. Bird from Sky actually going for the backstab here, but Spinks is there and waiting. Manx wins out on the trade onto the side. Doto doesn't find any access, but instead, the A site is given to them. Manx can't do too much. Hades greets him with bullets. Spinks takes a nade through the behinds, and now the Incendiary will be the icing on the cake. Bird from Sky, as he lures him out, is able to shut him down with some bullets, but Dafu chimes a bullet straight through Hades' head. Down to 2 versus 3 as the Cavalry looks to push on forwards, looks to challenge this take, but the lineup is looking strong. Snappy doing a substantial amount of damage, but it's all up on the back of Diha. Can he hold his ground? One player's low, needs to find a headshot onto Dafu, succeeds in doing so. Flash out, he bought the time necessary. Flash is perfect, finds a finishing blow as well. Diha succeeds in the 1v2 clutch.
And that clutch makes things significantly harder for Lyngby. Had they gotten it, we'd be looking at a 5-4 scoreline with some money in reserve, but it's all been taken away from them. Lyngby, now they're going to have a lot more struggles coming their way. Diha, he put on a stellar showing there. That was a nice flashbang in the nick of the moment.
For us, it seems like it's a back and forth for the past few rounds, hasn't it? Like, it's not clearly ENCE easing up ahead. The 3-round differential was sort of being the case for a while, as Lyngby Vikings sort of grab one, ENCE grabs the other. Obviously, this round definitely doesn't favor Lyngby Vikings, but you definitely can't count them out. When does ENCE find a clear avenue to success here? Because they're being challenged substantially. Of course, they're on the T side, which shouldn't be really that easy for them to grab rounds like this, so definitely still a favorable start for them. But I feel that Lyngby Vikings, although the rounds don't show it, the round scoreline don't show it, they're really challenging substantially. Every single round it's a close endeavor. Every single round it comes down to a clutch, and ENCE looks like they want to ease up ahead here.
Yeah, with already the numbers being removed, and also the head of Rawls, Lyngby Vikings already recognize that they have no way they get back into this round. Bird from Sky, at least he's good for one picking, but those are guns that'll definitely go in their back pockets. They want to take these over to the next round, and it's no surprise that that is the case. Now, ENCE inching ever so close to that half victory. Keep in mind, they've already gotten the first map. This is ENCE's map pick. So Lyngby Vikings, from the get-go, they've been feeling a lot of pressure. This is an uphill battle that, unfortunately, I don't think they brought the tools to climb. Ex-Warrior, it's strange because, generally speaking, a lot of these Tier 2 games that we've been seeing, even the underdogs, they can bring the scoreline very close. So, and Lyngby Vikings, they've done the exact same thing. I mean, they beat out Double Pony, which is, of course, something to be proud of. But ENCE, they're not allowing any of this. That first map was incredibly convincing. There was no denying who the better team was when it came to map number 1, but Lyngby Vikings, maybe they can have a different showing here on Nuke.
They absolutely can. Snappy looking to push through. Dafu holding down his line with a fan mash. Ooh, lets him walk past him. Dia checks the corner, but still has the ball. The bomb has been dropped, and Lyngby Vikings could try and get themselves onto this position and shut them down as soon as possible. In between the smokes, Bird from Sky will emerge victorious, coming through, but Spinks from the top of Silo does manage to deal with the situation, putting ENCE back into the driver's seat. Oh, it could have gotten way more difficult than it actually did commence, but ENCE able to come out victorious in the end. Christo, though, is still being a menace, and it's still a 2v2 situation, and with time for Lyngby Vikings to get some AK-47s for them.
Oh, Christo, those 2 missed shots might have been crucial. Spinks, he's made such a good case for saving the round here as he takes down Christo. And Hades, he'll be putting the last bullet in the coffin of Lyngby Vikings. If Spinks wasn't on top of the silo in that instance, things would be very different. They wouldn't have had a second player on top to pincer, and that would be all it. The bomb was dropped. In fact, Lyngby Vikings actually got very lucky in the sense that they only caught out the player initially that was carrying the bomb. So the trouble of making sure that the bomb is still on your back, that's what even drew ENCE to bringing that round that close. Otherwise, they would have just run off. Now they've got a chance at weapons.
Ooh, look at the through. Snappy able to deliver a headshot onto Manx, and Bird from Sky quickly to bounce back from it. The A site has already been taken over. In a matter of seconds, ENCE have steamrolled through it, and now Lyngby Vikings from outside are looking within. Snappy not going to allow any more peeping through, as he does get the bomb planted down. Snappy as well, where the bomb goes down. Well, with the shot coming through Christo's eyes, it's still ENCE to be heavily favored. 2v4. I think ENCE is starting to move away from this, and Lyngby Vikings, they're struggling to have a say in this matter.
Yeah, this isn't looking like much of a conversation. This is, well, we're on the subject of having a say in this matter. This is mostly a lecture for coming out from ENCE. ENCE proving to us that they're the top dogs here. And Lyngby Vikings, they want to take a timeout because this is still within the realms of being in their reach. It's not like it's out of their hands just yet. If they can come through with this round, then they can still salvage this round to the degree, or salvage this half to the degree, that they can come back on the T side, which of course, as we all know, is a bit better to come back on considering the economy. But in the meantime, if you're enjoying this game, maybe you want to go ahead and check out our partners over at pinnacle.com/odds. You can find the latest in-play offerings for Lyngby Vikings versus ENCE, and they've got an offer going on currently where if you use the code 21 to sign up, the code Cup21 to sign up, you get €10 back on your €10 deposit. But remember, only bet what you can afford, and full terms and conditions do apply. So be safe when betting.
I think it doesn't take a prophet to predict ENCE's outcome in this matchup. In this round in particular as well. Bird from Sky may want to challenge that. He may want to be the man to spoil the profits. Smoke dissipates, and he finds some extra damage with the AK-47 he's been able to recover. Moving onto the ramp side now, ENCE. Gotten some space to work with, but they need to win some individual duels before this round comes to a close. They still have a chance, right? They need those kills desperately so. Now we're seeing this setup being split to two. One player across ramp to cause pressure towards the B site, get some information, but it looks like the other two want to see if they can get a pick towards the A site in case some aggression is being pulled across from Lyngby Vikings. But the fact that they are ahead in numbers, there's no reason for them to do that. So the peaks need to be really strong from the ENCE lineup.
Yeah, Bird from Sky might have just salvaged it, but Spinks, he's being a menace over on the B bomb site. Another bullet in the head of Hades. That does mean that Spinks is left all alone. You do see him quite often being left alone, and that might be because he's sort of set up traditionally in the sense of a lurker, and you don't really see that often anymore on teams, do you?
No, you rarely do at this stage. It's interesting how Bird from Sky salvaged that, right? Recovering that AK-47, the same could be said about the other kill that came across towards the A site. Not quite, I don't quite remember which player it was, but Lyngby Vikings, like we said, the scoreline might be slightly out of reach, or not completely out of reach, right? There's still a world where they can come back, but they're challenging every single round, making it a close endeavor. And when they do close rounds, they make it look comfortable. Which, as an ENCE player, that's what you need to be scared of, because these guys are made from steel. You know that Danish people aren't going to be moved too much when it comes to emotions. They definitely have control over them when it comes to it. And by all means, these guys aren't that young. They're experienced. They know how to approach this game and how to persevere. And if they're given the chance, they will do so.
That's already an opening kill from Deke. Dafu giving up his information. That does mean he's an easy pickup for the terrorist side. Bird from Sky coming in from Garage. A Molotov doesn't actually work out for them, so Deke is going to have to be extra aware of that angle. Spinks, he's got eyes like a hawk. He spots the hole in the defense, he spots the hole in the smoke, and he spams on through to make sure that nobody's going to push forward. Rawls and Manx, they still want to go for this. They know that they've got enough money for the next round, so they're going to try it, but Snappy, it's all over in a snap.
Oh, man. You say there's enough money in the bank. No, that's not really the case for Rawls. He's going to have a drop come through from Manx. But the thing with the Lyngby Vikings is that they haven't consistently found maybe 2 rounds in a row. They haven't been able to square more than 1 round in a row, actually. It's basically been inches of progress from time to time, while ENCE gets a spree of momentum, at least, from time to time, which is why we're seeing the scoreline we're seeing currently. It's not ENCE tirelessly getting themselves a 10-round lead by not dropping a single round. They obviously get a couple of wins and then drop a round, but it's this consistency that's coming out from this international lineup that really is helping out substantially. Rawls gets the first blow, though, which does dwindle the attack of ENCE.
ENCE. They've already got way too much control on ramp, and Hades is just going to sweeten the deal even further. Manx, no longer a part of the party. Bird from Sky, oh man, not really much of an opportunity, but he still somehow salvages it. It's 15 HP for him. How much can he hold on? How much longer can he keep Dodo and Spinks back?
Christy, the patience, Bird from Sky
no.
from backside. Dodo can't do anything about it. He's not a spider. He doesn't have his eyes behind of his head. Spinks, poor man. He's got to deal with this all by himself. You can't really say poor man, especially when ENCE is on double digits on the first half on the T side of Overpass. But in this situation, he's feeling a little bit lonely from above. Oh, Bird from Sky, the timing is right. At least it's not worse than that. Lyngby Vikings close out the half with a round going in their way, but it's still a 10-5 demanding lead for ENCE as they close down this halftime.
I'm actually really happy to see that Lyngby Vikings are able to pick up that last round, because otherwise this game would basically be a no contest. I mean, 11-4, ENCE's own map pick. Even 10-5 isn't amazing, I'll be honest, but they've got something to work with. But if you want something to work with as far as betting is concerned, you can go ahead and check out pinnacle.com/odds, where you can find the latest in-play offerings for Team ENCE versus Lyngby Vikings and similar sort of matchups that you do end up seeing on Pinnacle Cup. And remember, they've got a promotion going on right now where if you sign up using the code CUP21, you get 10 euros back on your 10 euros deposit. Terms and conditions do apply, and bet only what you can afford to lose. Bet responsibly and stop betting when the fun stops.
Well, seems like some person's taking the opportunity of this technical pause to perhaps lose the lavatory. Not quite sure if that's actually the cause of the technical pause, but I believe I'm hearing some ticks coming on the server, so that likely could indicate that.
I like the attitudes on the ENCE players. They're
chill.
Yeah, they're having a good old time. Just queuing some Face-It games. You know what it is. Ooh, that cap's kind of cool, actually. I'm going to have to check out their merch soon. Do they have a merch store? I'm going to have to look it up.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I do believe ENCE want to recover their glory days as an organization, right? You know the song. Easy for ENCE. Yeah.
Yes.
I had to bring it out. But here, let's see how ENCE is going to deal with the situation, as the CT side is where they are standing currently. Lyngby Vikings, though, let's see how they stand off when it comes to the offensive. Snappy is challenged, but he waits for the rotations to come in, so he has the reinforcements available for him. Aggression coming through, but Snappy finds 2 heads. The third, the fourth.
Okay.
Oh my word, that is insane. ENCE, you thought that you had to back back out of the scenario, but Lyngby Vikings bring the fight to you, and you're able to quash them like the 300 in Sparta did in the ancient history. Bird from Sky, he's all by himself, but he's greeted by another bullet to his own head, and ENCE, they show dominance from round number 1 in the second half.
That was a complete shutdown. Bullets flying left and right. It almost felt like this USP was automatic. Yeah, I'm so glad we get a chance to look at that again. It's just heads being quashed left and right. It's actually not 4 kills for Snappy. It's Dika, yeah, Dika chimed in for 1 as well. But you know what? It looked cool. We're just gonna hide Dika's name there, make it look like a 4K.
If it's the world of internet, Photoshop can be at play. Ooh, aggression coming out from Lyngby Vikings straight out of the bat. Molly told to sort of get them out of the way, but Doto won't be budged out of position. 3 kills going to that MP9. The extra cash being flown into his pocket. Max doing some damage. 2 kill going to his way, but no. Spinks shutting him down, and so will Snap. ENCE have had enough of their shenanigans and will be getting this round back in their favor.
This is a complete wash-up. ENCE are not really giving Lyngby Vikings the opportunity to fight back. The level of comfort that ENCE feel in quashing Lyngby Vikings right now, it's not looking good for the Vikings. Maybe this is the turning point, because they've got Deagles, they've got Kevlar. Perhaps the heads will start flying.
Spinks, he's doing a good job, man. Lyngby Vikings, I know this is an eco round. I know that this shouldn't really be a difficult round for ENCE. I'm struggling to mouth these words because all of a sudden Lyngby Vikings have completely changed the tide of this game. What? And now they found a rifle into the hands of Rolls, and Snappy is all by himself with a bomb being planted onto the B site. What can he do? Needs to spot them out 1 by 1. Sees where one of them hides out, but can he close it out in his favor? Does he fake out his movement towards control room, or does he follow through on it? The 2 of these players have completely backed out of it. They planted the bomb just straight out of Squeaky, so they can just play around with it. In this angle, he holds it down for a bit, looking for the first shot, but no! Lyngby Vikings, you might as well keep on playing with the Deagles, because it seems like it's the only thing that is working for you so far.
It's crazy how ENCE actually got the first 2 frags on the A site, or at least the first frag, and 1 immediately after, and they were still able to recover with just the Deagles. At that point, it's already a mowdown. It's not like the Deagles came out on top first, but this is a chance coming back into it. ENCE, now they're going to have some economic troubles of their own, and that is of course one of the hallmarks of getting a comeback on the terrorist side. You make it a lot harder for the enemy team to really buy anything up. Christo, he's not running out of the fight just yet. Just because he's tagged up, he doesn't care. He has to go for 1 regardless. Oh man, that flashbang was perfect, but Dika did not capitalize. That Desert Eagle, it could have gone crazy. But unfortunately for them, Lyngby Vikings seem to be running away with this round. Dodo, not getting too much of a fighting chance here. Got a smoke, he's got a Deagle. Maybe Snappy can get 1 more kill, but this round is looking like it's already over.
How far can the Danes go for us? It seems like they've got this round under wraps. Yes, they haven't found their way onto their site yet, but it's all a matter of time. Spinks and Snappy need some madness to pull this across for them. How far can Lyngby Vikings go? I think that's the question. Can they close up the gap entirely? Can they maybe bring this map in their own favor? Because it seems they're liking the T side so far.
Yeah, of course we haven't really seen too many, we haven't seen enough gun rounds from ENCE just yet to know how comfortable they are on the CT side, because of course it was up against the Deagle round. We don't actually know, or at least not from this game, we don't actually know how well they'll sustainably play on their own CT side, but from the looks of things, Lyngby Vikings at the very least feel some comfort. Snappy. Now they know where he is, so the hunt is on. Maybe gets away with another, but for the most part.
They want him. Yeah, that's going to close up the gap. That's not going to really allow the scout to do any damage. Draws out the deagle, but there he goes. Becomes one with the ground. Pistol round to come across for ENCE, and Lyngby Vikings could draw things to an 8th here with a 4-round differential between the two teams. Things are starting to unfold in a way in which Lyngby Vikings could take advantage of, potentially bring things in their favor. It's not over for them yet. It's quite visible at this point.
The fact that ENCE won't really have any comfort with regards to their buys for the next couple of rounds, that's the thing that Lyngby Vikings are desperately banking on if they want to take Nuke back. Of course, this is just a P250 for Snappy, everybody else on USPs. Lyngby Vikings. I like how they're still being very methodical with how they approach rounds. Even if they know there isn't much of an economy to work with, it still pays to be extra careful. Just make sure that no additional damage will be done. And that's also on top of the idea that even if you don't end up losing the round, there's a good chance that if somebody recovers the AK, they try to run away with it. Timing doesn't work out perfectly in Snappy's favor, but that was to be expected from this round. Lyngby, now they're starting to close the gap. It looks a lot better, but still do have to get ahead. Still do have to close out a round against ENCE's gun round. And the loss bonus is building up, so it's not like this economic pit will last forever, so at some point Lyngby will just have to keep fighting fire with fire.
Well, ENCE, they've got a buy to work with, but Lyngby Vikings quickly pushing through. Headshot instantly coming through from Dafu as well, so this is going to make their endeavor a lot harder. They line up for Spinks though, but he has difficulty in lining up the shots himself, which means that Lyngby Vikings are in a prime position to close things out. This was ENCE's chance to stop Lyngby Vikings' spree, but I believe they have just found their form. They have just found their flow, and they're just riding this wave to success. Riding this wave to close up this gap. They're doing ever so well. And ENCE, it seems they're struggling to find the answer. At least they're finding another kill here, but Lyngby Vikings, it's a strong performance for them. And they don't show any signs of slowing things down at all.
I love that double peek. Rolls. Takes away Snappy. And they only get to run away with one M4. So once again, ENCE have got no money to work with. The next round will of course be a lot more favorable, as the wallets start to be filled up. I want to see how things change when Hades has an AWP back. Now, Lyngby Vikings on the verge of double digits. They can, of course, never get too comfortable at this point. They've already lost a map. ENCE. I want to see if these deagles can come to light. And Spinks' Mag 7, it's looking juicy. You know that that can always turn up something big. Be very spicy. But will it be in this game? Who knows?
Let's see what he can bring to the table. It should be Lyngby Vikings round, right? What I do like from Spinks is that Mag 7. If anybody has heard me cast before, you know, I have strong liking to that weapon. Reminiscent of the days when that weapon, together with the sword off, was heavily in the meta. In particular, with one player, JW. Used to be such a fan of that man. Still am, but you know, I fanboy over the guy sometimes. Don't tell him that. I try and act cool around him. Spray coming through. Bird from Sky. 11 points of health. Actually, some damage from the only M4 being brought out, but Hades, they don't expect this. He's actually easing up against it. Could find some shots onto Rouse. He gets the kill, but Bird from Sky able to capitalize on that situation. 4v4. The M4 is still at play, and Diho is able to make it to good use. 1 kill going his way. Now ENCE may have the upper hand, with Dota holding the right line. 1 shot, 2 shots, 2 kills. Doto, what a man. And now Max, he's got a lot of work to do. Finds 1, straight on to the next, but he's got 2 more to deal with and make that 1. 4 points of health, only 1 bullet required. Can they square it up? Can they indeed? 10 seconds, tries to find the bomb, but Snappy is there to deliver. ENCE, they bamboozled their opponents and put the pistols to good use.
Those were some very crispy shots from Dodo. What was that with the Desert Eagle? I love the effort from Manx, though, the way he tried to reclaim the situation by getting 3 frags with the M4, but it simply wasn't enough. Dodo had already done the damage. Still such a commendable spray down, the way he did it. We can see that in the replay. I was a bit worried for him there for a second because he was 4 HP and he dropped down, but I guess he does know how to work with his movement. Dafu! All these nades, they overpower Hades, and what I talked about, I want to see how I want to see him with the AWP. Apparently, they're just gonna knock him out of commission before he even spawns.
Wow. Lyngby Vikings aren't letting go, are they? At all. On the aggressive fear, this is where they find the tempo. Snappy! Oh, moves back into the angle, but the HE grenade does a substantial amount of damage. Diha will allow them to cross forwards. They've given away this ramp area, because all the utility used here from Lyngby Vikings gives them a lot of space, but they rotate back to the A site.
How do they play this? Do ENCE expect this rotation all the way back to the A site? Dodo still being very careful about outside, and it's going to work off in his favor. Now, the pressure is on to push onto the A side. Bird from Sky, he's taking a bit of a scratch as well. Spinks, once again, he's the sole defender of the A side, and this is where the reinforcements start to come in. Lots of HP of damage on the terrorist side, but they still have the numbers advantage. They want to move in. Snappy still not nudging just yet. The AUG's perfect, but Dicha's aim is not. He hasn't fired off. Dodo, nice kills through the smoke, and this is where the pressure's on to go for the retake.
Oh, they need to go for the retake. Dafu, he's low. They could well unwin this, but he's nowhere to be found. Snappy, he's on the other side of the map. Ooh. He's only just approached ramp. And time by then would have dwindled down completely. Oh, no. This is a disaster. I believe when Diha fell from the heavens, from rafters, it just gave away an audio cue, gave away his position. He had a massive potential there to close things up, but no. Lyngby Vikings, they hold on strong, and after this bomb explodes, they'll be hitting the double-digit mark, and they'll feel very happy about that.
This almost rolled out of their hands. This could have been a 14-9. But with just a couple kills going their way, with Dafu being able to find 3. It is suddenly a very different affair. Lyngby Vikings, seems like they still want to go for a hard and fast play, but there is a Molotov to try to stop them. Dodo, he's being burned alive. They're trying to keep him at bay.
They absolutely are. And then so far the lineup looks strong. Lyngby Vikings have to backtrack from that position. Snappy making sure that the B site hasn't been breached yet. Oh, it's closer than we expected, isn't it, for us?
With this first player being taken off the hands of Lyngby Vikings, it did get a bit tricky, but seems like they've reclaimed it. Adiga, out of commission, nowhere to be found. And ENCE, they're looking a bit troubled about where Lyngby Vikings could potentially be. They have Spinks pushed up into lobby, which does allow them to have a fair bit of info. This will allow to get them faster rotations in because Spinks will have to take a faster duel, but it also isolates him, and that means he can easily be picked up by Christo if he chooses to do so. And with 40 seconds remaining, this is where he starts to aggress. Spinks, he will fall to the aforementioned man. That AWP is being put to good use. The rest of the Ts, they're making their way down secret.
And perhaps over eager to get that information. For that reason, they drop a couple of players.
There's 20 seconds though, Pavlos.
Oh, yeah, but it's fairly open. Only one player is holding it, and Snappy has got a strong D to come up against. Bird from Sky able to deal with him. Wasn't too much of an issue. And for that reason, Lyngby Vikings have got double the amount of players that their opponents have alive on the server. And they've got control of a site with a bomb planted. ENCE, there isn't much these guys can do. They can just back away, save those weapons. Smile and wave. As they're waving this round away. Lyngby Vikings. This is a resurgence we're seeing in their lineup. A resurgence in confidence, in abilities, in round gains now. They'll get themselves on the 11th with only 2 rounds differentiating the two teams. As Hades looks to save his AWP, he only gets 1 kill in the process as he gets smashed down to the ground by Rals.
And this is ENCE back in the back seat. Lyngby Vikings holding on to the steering wheel with both hands, firmly cemented, glued. Although the car's been parked out in the sun for a while and the steering wheel is burning, they're still holding on to it. Their hands might be red, but it seems like they want to take it to map number 3.
Oh, they definitely do. Who wouldn't at this point? They've got a real chance and they're feeling it. They want to get back into the game as fast as they can. Now, moving across the vents, they're looking to go to the bottom side of this map. And there's only one player holding it out. It's just Snappy. And he's on the wrong end of the receiving side of this whole situation. Bird from Sky somehow still is alive after missing that shot, but draws out the pistol and still causes damage. He's calling in for reinforcements. Players coming in from the top of Silo. Hades looks to show his acrobatics, but the only thing he will show is the bottom of his buttocks, as he does get shot from that angle as well. Unfortunately so. Snappy, he's done damage to one of the players, but that's going to be it. Lyngby Vikings on the verge of closing the gap entirely. Impressive stuff coming in from the Danes.
It's even more impressive when you consider the fact that ENCE were leading entirely. They win out the first round of the they win out the first round in a very convincing fashion, of course, because of that USB spray down. And now, even with all of that lead being built up, on the CT side out of all things, where you have a bit of an advantage, it doesn't seem like they have a grip over this game anymore, and we're only one round away from seeing the tie-up. But in the meantime, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Trustly and Pinnacle, Pavlos?
I could do that. Why not? Trustly, they're basically a place for you to make your payments flow quickly from account to account online, and you don't need any chaos from the cards or app download or any registration. You can also use Trustly when it comes to your payments across pinnacle.com/odds, where you can find the latest odds of this matchup, ENCE versus Lyngby Vikings. And also, do remember that sports should be just for fun, so only play what you can afford and keep yourself safe using our full terms and conditions as they do apply. 4 versus 5 instantly out of the bat. ENCE already losing a player, and it seems like they're on the precipice of losing their advantage.
Yeah, this could potentially be ENCE's final chance in this. This was their gun round, and they've already lost Dika. Spinks, he's equalized the numbers, and now Dodo. Do they get even more aggressive? Because now they must be spotted out. Manx, he's using the smoke as a bit of a one-way, uses it as half a curtain to draw over his shoulder and have the gun peeking out from one end. But Heaven seems to be the name of the game for Lyngby Vikings. Do they anticipate Dodo? He's found the first headshot. Almost gets the second, but Christo's too fast on the trigger. This is where the CTs start to feel a fair bit of pressure, and the player coming in from Silo, he'll have to give the audio cue. Bird from Sky knows.
He absolutely does. Oh, dear. Oh, ENCE, I wonder if you know. Spinks, does he look in this deep angle? Does he? He checks it, but it's a weak one. Spray coming out. Bird from Sky delivers. He's the one to stay alive in that process. Hades What do you do? They know they're on a numbers deficit. They know they need to start bouncing back, or else that is their advantage loss. That could be Lyngby Vikings approaching that finishing scoreline, getting the pick. This could be the call they need! Hades draws out the pistol. That's the kill onto Bird from Sky, and it's all up to Max in the 1v2. Molly thrown out. Max trying to hold down his line, but doesn't know where Snappy's going to approach from. He doesn't fall by 3, but he still gets the kill anyway! Coming in from behind, though, Hades just dropped. He makes that audio cue audible, and now we're cross on forwards, but that USP is done too sharp. And ENCE, they don't give away their lead. They extend it even further, giving themselves a 14th.
The extra aggression from the T's was entirely unwarranted. To peek out just to try to pick off the Opper, Hades is so happy to capitalize. He wants to pull out that USB and he wants to get it done. I'm so glad we get to see that on the replay because he made that look so easy. Manx. That was a very valiant effort from him, but it certainly wasn't easy. Now, ENCE. They still don't have the best money in the world, so they have to go up against 2 gun rounds, but this is a start. They've got a shotgun, they've got an MP9, they've gone trick-or-treating at the gun store, and they've gotten something.
Oh, they absolutely have. That something is the XM, the crocodile as you like to call it. The wild croc. From Sky looking to push through. Ooh, Doto! You need to check your backline from time to time because Lyngby Vikings have already crossed outside. And the limited weaponry at the exposal events currently isn't looking the brightest. Lyngby Vikings showing at the latter stages of this map performances reminiscent to their victory against Double Pony the other day, but the XM is put to good use. But from Sky completely slaughtered down. How does Lyngby Vikings approach this now? The numbers deficit that they are in currently. Smoke creating an alleyway which they can start pushing forwards from. Spanx. He's going to move out of it. He's giving the site to his opponents. But I think ENCE, they're eager to collapse on them as soon as they hear the audio cue from the bomb plants. All 3 are in a near proximity. Snappy
really
could get himself to the vents. It's a matter of timing, Spinks. He hasn't been spotted. There's a man right on top of him. Oh, doesn't he check his left? Hades is there with the AWP. It's all up to Christu. It's all up to Christu, but not for any longer because Spinks takes him out of his misery. And ENCE, you saw them struggling for quite some time, but now they bounce back. They find themselves on map and series point with the defuse coming underway. ENCE, they're back in this.
And Pavlo, so one thing I'm really excited about is the fact that we get to see the potential final round with guns blazing. And even ENCE have so much money built up now that if they end up losing a round, they still have plenty of money for another gun round. So this is about as close as it gets. At least as far as this map is concerned, because other than that, the Pinnacle odds, they seem to be heavily favoring ENCE at the moment. And for good reason. I mean, they've already won a map. They're up 15-12. So Lyngby Vikings, things are starting to look a bit bleak. They need to win 3 rounds in a row. They need to get it to overtime. Lots of variables, lots of win conditions, but they've got the heart for it.
They absolutely do. Double AWP setup now for the ENCE side, something we haven't seen too much as they have struggled economically when it comes to the CT side, but now, with a resurrection of their bank accounts, the money has been able to flow in nicely, permitting that extra buy Snappy be able to hold this lineup with this gun of green. It's just a standoff with Manx currently. Smoke's being drawn out on the outside as Lyngby Vikings are testing out various avenues of approach. Wherever they may find the advantage, that may be where they start to trickle forwards. Incendiary thrown so Snappy can reposition. But it seems like Lyngby Vikings are slowly lining up towards that A site. But instead, no. They actually cross towards the ramp side, and Snappy's there to greet them. Spinks went out on the other side of the map, and all of a sudden, it's ENCE with the advantage. 3 players remaining on the Lyngby Viking side, and they look to push fast onto the site. Dafu manages to deal with Spinks. Nothing much he can do about it. He spots out Dafu, and he's able to deal with him as well. 2v4 as ENCE. They've got a stellar advantage in this endeavor, and Manx won't be able to do too much about it. It's all up to Riles to keep him and his team alive in this this game, but that will not be the case. ENCE, they've closed this game up, they've closed this series, and they go 2-0 now in the Swiss stage of Pinnacle Cup.
What a game from ENCE. I do have to commend the efforts of Lyngby Vikings. I'm not gonna lie, they did make it look. They did actually make an argument in the favor of themselves up on that next map, or rather up on that second map. But unfortunately, it was not convincing enough. ENCE, they come out on top. They take Lyngby Vikings' map pick very convincingly. They struggle a bit on their own map pick, but at the end of the day, that's all that matters. 2-0, nice and easy. But before we head off, X-Warrior, any final thoughts for the day?
Man, I just think that we were delighted with the games we saw at hand. Of course, the first map of the second series seemed a little bit weaker on the side of Lyngby Vikings, but the rejuvenation that came across later, it was definitely a treat to watch. As well as we saw Fiend come up against Sinners. It was a 2-0 endeavor for Sinners at the end of the day. It was them to beat it out, but both maps were entirely close, and we saw really good Counter-Strike across the two. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're not done watching good Counter-Strike, this is the place to be to watch even more of that, because Mouse and XD are playing against Skade up next, and after that, later in this afternoon, Endpoint will be playing up against MIBR here in the Swiss stage of the Pinnacle Cup. But ladies and gentlemen, do not go anywhere. We'll be back after the break. I believe there'll be about an hour of a break until the next map does, until the next series does come through. But thank you very much for joining, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys enjoyed the games and the cast, and we'll see you well in a bit.